I do have a question for BIN from BIN, the Black Information Network. Is in regards to the Trump appearance at NABJ. Do you think he was treated fairly on the NABJ stage in Chicago?
No. Because if Kamala Harris had walked in there, and let's say the roles were reversed, Trump didn't walk in, Kamala Harris did. They wouldn't open it up with. So looking back at your record as a prosecutor, and you locked up this many black men, and you kept fined this many single mothers, and therefore caused this many evictions because you messed up their paychecks and all of these other. They wouldn't do that to her. They would say, "How does it feel to be the first black woman on the Democratic ticket?" You know, instead of, and like Trump said, nobody said hello, nobody greeted him. Like, that was rude. Because if you go up to any black person, you're like, yeah, so why did you mess up that deal last week? You would be like, well, hello to you too. Yeah. That's a natural response. Yeah. So for people to act like he was, running from a question because he's like, I've never been asked something so terribly, he wasn't wrong for doing that. I think that they didn't necessarily allow him to answer questions. I think that the questions were set up in a way to make him look bad. And I think we hold rich white men to too high of a standard in regards to understanding regular black people problems.
Well, I mean, I think you should be at least empathetic to black people problems because we are the one. I don't think
anything about his interview lacked empathy. I think the lack of empathy came from the interviewers and not the interviewee.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, as somebody who wants the black vote, you should be empathetic to black
problems. You guys have to inform him. That was their opportunity to sit down and inform him as to why they are offended by certain things he says. This is why this was their opportunity to ask questions about why did you say this, or why did you pass that, or why did you. This was their opportunity to talk policy and get clarification. And they did not use any of their 1 hour to do that. They failed the people that they were supposed to be serving. They did a disservice to their target audience because at no point in time did they discuss policy, did they discuss what the future looks like if he was to be president. It was all racist remark this, DEI that, and it's like, what does that have to do with what we're voting for in November?
Well, the racist remarks do play a role. DEI does play a role because when we talk about policies that he's suggested, particularly the one that stood out the most to me was the immunity for the police officers. I think that is sometimes we are voting for one person, but also voting against another person. Because as a black person, as a black guy specifically, that impacts me. You can't. And also, let me backtrack as well. Are you familiar with the name Jamarion Robinson? Jamarion Robinson, former Clark Atlanta graduate, student athlete, he was killed a few years ago by the police in Atlanta. He was a good friend of mine. We started spring workouts the same day in 2008. So since that was something that happened to me personally, that I feel very strongly about police having unchecked immunity. So
I am so glad you went ahead and opened the floor to have that conversation. Because in what world do you think the president would actually grant every police officer in the United States more power
scoot to the mic?
In what world do you genuinely believe that the president of the United States would grant police more power than what he has as a sitting president? Does it make sense?
I can only go.
Police would get full immunity.
I can only go off of what he said.
He said at the NABJ conference that you just asked me about that there would be an ethics council, that there would be some type of board to review every case in which immunity might not apply. So in cases in which your friend unfortunately passed away, in cases like Sonia Massey, which just happened, and even he said, I saw the clip and they were not doing their job. Those are not cases in which these people would receive full immunity. There would still have to be a case-by-case review. There would still have to be a board in which would have to grant this immunity. It's not a thing where every cop can just go out here and now we have lawless cops in an over-police society. That's not what he's preaching here. And while I don't speak for the president, because no, I'm not paid by nobody on Team Trump. So don't take this as this is what the Trump campaign has put out, because this is just me. But
this is just Michaelah.
This is just Michaelah. But Michaelah is telling y'all that y'all sound ridiculous believing that the president would grant police more power than what he doesn't even have full immunity, because y'all love bringing up that he's a felon. But then y'all will go ahead and also feed into, oh, no police will face any retribution for anything that they do, even though President Trump had to do so.
But we're going off what he said.
And what he said at the conference was there would be a board and that these would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So there's no such thing as allowing police to run around and do whatever they want. He clarified that out of his own mouth at the conference.
You know what that sounds like, though? That sounds like when these cases happen now and they do an internal review. And what happens when the internal? And what happens when the internal review? Did you do it? No, I ain't do it. All right, that's it. Because
that always happens in every single case. No,
more times than likely. Like we can
say that. Do we have numbers to back that up, or is this an assumption that we're making and
we're
putting that out to
no,
the public?
No. It's not. No, it's not an assumption. It's not an assumption. But I'm saying more times than not, for the cases that make public media, like that go to that level, the internal reviews do not support. Like they don't support the end cause. That's all I'm saying. So if you can do an internal review and it'd be like an unbiased third party, then
so what makes you think that in regards to trying to pass this bill, that wouldn't be a part of the amendments or the
because why don't we have that now?
Why don't we have that now? That is a great question. So where was Obama when all of this stuff was happening and we asked for body cams? And we asked for revision of the police department. We asked for people to look over law enforcement. And you know what the Democratic Party told us to do? Defund the police. And next thing you know, all we heard was defund the police, defund the police, defund the police. And then if you look at cities like Oakland, where Kamala Harris served as DA, they have successfully defunded the police. Mm-hmm. And all you see now is a city riddled with crime. You have In-N-Out was ran out of Oakland because the employees were so scared of getting robbed going to and coming from work.
Yeah.
Because they know that police response isn't happening. They have no funding. People are killing each other. People are getting robbed. People are getting their cars stolen, homes broken into, all of these things based off defunding the police instead of figuring out a way to revamp the system. So now, while the wording might sound scary, the fact that the man said that there would be a board, right? Mm-hmm. What's to say that we don't make it so that board has to be elected by a committee that's already in Congress? What's to say that that board isn't, a board of appointees, but it has to be approved by, this subcommittee of people? Like, we're acting like there aren't processes of checks and balances when it goes to passing laws. There's no way Trump can come in and for day one pass an executive order that says all police are immune from anything. There's no way in any shape or form will that ever happen. So the public needs to understand that there is a process and they should probably pay attention to their locally elected representatives to ensure that their locally elected representatives advocate for a fair process in regards to figuring out which police will receive immunity for what cases are brought forth to the board.
I 100% agree. But what I'm saying is the things that you're saying should be in place are not in place already. So
he hasn't been elected yet.
So no. Let me.
There is no cabinet yet.
I cannot say that the process to review these cases will be unbiased because it's not unbiased now.
You also can't say that it won't be unbiased. So I don't understand why we wouldn't make sure that people understand that there is a possibility that this might be something that we could
because we have a track record of it not being unbiased.
We have a track record of it being unbiased, and that's why you would elect somebody who is telling you that they're going to do something different.
I disagree.